Well, what I'd like to say is one of the things that seems to happen in all of our situations is assuming that things are okay and assuming that this can be done, not to worry about how it's done. The fact is that I was under the impression that there was not going to be any filming, and don't get me wrong, I don't care hillbilly bear whether I'm filmed or not. But the factor is still, I still think that at the beginning of the meeting it needs to be said that this meeting is being filmed, and if anybody feels anything about it, at least to ask some questions about it. So that wasn't done. It was just set up, and it's just like business as usual, and let's just do it. And this is what we have to know, that on both sides of the fence, if you like something done, you still have to express it to whomever is involved in parties that this is what's got to be done. And if you can hear what I'm saying.
And if I may respond to that, I firmly believe that in communication, the obligation of the person who is in fact communicating the idea to make sure there's a clear understanding. It is we're here because assumptions were made with regard to when things were said, it meant something. When I direct my children to do something, I say to them, what did you hear me say? And the reason for that is I don't ask them, what did I say? I want to know what they heard me say. Because I need to know how they're interpreting the information that I conveyed. So I hear exactly what it is that you're saying. And it sounds as though we'd be fighting a semantical battle all the time, but in fact that's what we're doing. And I think that the more that you understand how people communicate, and the more regular communication is, it reduces the probability or possibility that miscommunication will occur. So I think as we move forward, your point is well taken, the fact that it's imperative that the communication occur, that it occur regularly, and that it occur so that there is commonality of understanding. Yes.
I want to thank the members of the CDC board for being here. It's no fun giving up on one right of your life or anything. I do have a direct question to ask regarding the structure you're proposing. Individual board members would lead key projects. And I'm hoping that this isn't a way to avoid having the executive director of the CDC communicate directly regarding staff when that needs to be done.
It is absolutely not the intent of that. Again, if I misspeak here, what we understood was that as we moved forward with all these projects, was that the direct responsibility of monitoring the timelines, analyzing the things that were going well, and then the things that were going poorly ultimately fell to our technician. This would be like having the brain surgeon be responsible for the transcription of the medical record. We're here to take the responsibility for those things, to work in conjunction with our executive director, not in ways of. So,
I just want that to be very clear, because I know the previous attempt to finesse this communication, that was a key point, that the borough manager would not call the executive director.
We're aware of those problems, and those are the problems that we want to eliminate.
And I second what you said about communication. An individual will say one thing, and people will hear quite another thing that's being said. And I can tell you, when I was CDC liaison trying to shuttle bits of information back and forth from one office to another, lot got lost in the translation. And I'm a guy who's supposed to make his living with communications. I even majored in it in college for crying out loud.
Well, and you could write the, stuff with beauty and spineless and make it here that your face can stop the clock. So those things are all not your face that can stop the clock.
That's been said before.
I understand.
Like worse, but
No doubt like that.
that's all I have. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I just want some points of clarification so we're all on the same page. Under the previous agreement, the CDC was basically treated as an extension of Borough departments. Whereas the executive director was involved with budgeting process, projects when it came about. At that time, for any type of project we were working on, we would utilize the CDC resource as far as helping us with funding, ideas, experience, whatever that was. At the end of 2000, I guess with the current contract or agreement that we have between the Borough and the CDC, that's limited to downtown economic development projects. I guess what we need from the staff side as a clarification is the relationship to CDC going to be as it was, like an extension of the borough itself, or is it going to be strictly for downtown economic development projects?
Is that, I apologize, I don't have the contract standpoint verbiage. And without the benefit of that, are you asking, do we want to alter the contract that currently exists, or do we want to just alter the?
I guess I want to be clear on which way we're operating. Currently, under the current contract that was approved when Rich was CDC liaison was, CDC was limited to economic development downtown projects. That changed from the previous agreement we had where we would utilize you, like I said, during budget process, project evaluations, whatever, throughout the entire borough.
I don't think that we've had any discussion with regard to altering the contract in its current form, and in deference to Mr. Brewer with regard to whether or not we're in compliance with Sunshine. I think that unless, I'm not even, we wouldn't ask you to do that without having a good conversation about that. And I think that from the standpoint of, if all of the projects that we identified, and certainly the ones that we identified 2 weeks ago, were all downtown projects. One was the streetscapes, one was the parking issue, and one was the liability of the boundary. So those, certainly from the standpoint, those were projects that we thought and think are vital. And those certainly fall within the parameters of what you just read to me. So I don't know that we're asking.
And so right now, Ron, we're functioning under the original contract, because the contract that was redone a month ago, I guess it was, which was on the CDC board a couple months ago, has not been returned to us signed. So
We signed it on the 12th.
Of July.
we signed it on the
12th of June.
Yes.
Excellent.
I guess you're probably
current,
correct.
so theoretically, we're still functioning out under the original contract.
But I have a point to that if I can continue. The point is, the original contract, which basically the CDC, as I said, was our economic arm for the entire borough, that was the foundation of that contract, which justified the amount the borough was paying the CDC and such. If we're going to go with the version of the new type of contract and limit that scope for the CDC to downtown, then the borough is going to probably go to our engineers or other folks who have been approaching us about helping us with those types of things. So I guess the contract specifics and the value of